So maybe talk about some of the successes that you've had because of your participation in BreakThru. Anybody?
I'll take one. My mentee, she always thought she had lots of time for stuff, so she would wait till the last minute deadlines. And one of the programs she was trying to get into at a different school next fall, she thought she could just wait until April because that was the deadline. And kind of through talking to her, I said, you know, you need to talk to your guidance counselor and get on the list early because it may not be as easy as you think, or maybe all the slots will be full. And so she did that, and we just found out 2 weeks ago she got accepted into the program, and I'm not sure she would have started it. One of the things that didn't work for us is she was struggling in math, and we couldn't figure out a good way to do it on Skype or over the phone. And just, we could look at the problem, but I couldn't tell how she was working it, and to go through the steps. That's the one thing that didn't work so good for us, but the other did.
Okay, Annie, maybe talk a little bit about your experience.
With my mentor or with school?
No, with your successes or breakthroughs that you've had because you've participated in BreakThru.
My test scores, they used to be really below, let's say, the 75 area. With this mentor program with Miss Diana, my science grade has gone up from from being in the 70s to all the way up in the 80s, and right now my science grade is an 88, and I recently did well on a quiz, and then a week after the quiz I had a test in which I did very well in, thanks to Miss Farmer. She gave me a bunch of sites that I could look up, and she gave me one particular one which was called Khan Academy, which had a bunch of science videos on it, and it basically led me through how to do my science with the way it also showed how the math was done and everything else. And I just think the program has been great for me and her. She and I have some things in common, and for me, I like to do things earlier and ahead of time, and occasionally I go ahead of my classes, which my teachers have told me not to do, but I mean, I occasionally do that without them knowing, so I don't procrastinate on tests, but I normally just study ahead of time, but I still struggle with tests, so Ms. Farmer and I have come up with strategies on helping me get through tests through the next day or through the next week or so.
Well, that is fantastic.
It sounds like you're one-upping the teachers, and I find that incredibly hilarious for some reason. The student outlasting the master. I find that funny.
Well, it is funny, I think. I mean, you can outsmart adults. Sometimes they're still a couple of generations behind us, but I mean, hey, we're catching up with the adults, and the adults are catching up with us.
In technology, we're beating them still.
Exactly, I would say that exactly. I had to help Miss Lisa through some of her stuff too. I remember.
We older people really appreciate the patience that you have with us when we have technology difficulties and that kind of thing. Annie, what have you experienced any, I guess, challenges in your classes in science, technology, engineering, or math? Have you had any challenges that maybe you've discussed with your mentor and you've been able to work through?
Yes, I have, but she and I mostly focus on science, but I lack in math, so I mean,
I do too. I hate math.
I agree. I agree with you.
Well,
it's a horrible subject for some reason. I just can't wrap my head around it. It's incredibly boring to me.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if you focus on the science. What What, I guess, challenges have you experienced, and then how have you and your mentor kind of worked through them, Annie?
Okay, the kind of person I am is that I have to literally see it / hear it, and then I sometimes perform the what is required in school. But if it's not being performed, nor if I don't recall it, my teachers normally repeat it a couple of times, which now I've actually gotten it down to I only have to hear it once being told to me, and then I repeat what the adult says. And with Miss Farmer, she and I have come up with a way of trying to balance my learning ability, and it's become very successful of what she and I have done with my science studies.
So maybe Aggie engineer, you want to talk a little bit about what you've learned from your student or students that you've mentored? Have you had any breakthroughs where you've had the breakthrough?
A couple. I only have one, and what I really admire about her is she really struggles with school a lot. She gets extra time on tests, and she's in some special classes. But even with that, she is so committed to school, and I wish I'd been that committed. She pretty much studies 3 or 4 hours a day, every day when she gets home from school, and really works at it hard. And she's been able to turn things around. Last year was a bad year for her. And even before she and I started meeting, this year was a little bit better. And I think she just responds so well to positive feedback. And just, you know, it was different for me because I was used to kind of a B being a bad thing. And I had to change gears a little bit and understand that it's not where you are, it's where you've come from. And when I realized that she that she's on an upward trajectory, so she's on the, you know, she's moving in the right direction, and I'd also forgotten how hard it is juggling, you know, everything from Spanish to history to math to science, you know, all of it getting jumbled up in your head. So for us, it's separating them out. Probably the thing, I haven't had a lot of success. I appreciate what they said about Khan Academy, because I hadn't even thought about us going to websites together, because we like looking at websites together. That's kind of our big thing, and that would be a great way, especially with her. She's taken physics this year, and she's doing conics and math, and it's kind of throwing her. So I hadn't thought about the visuals for that. But probably the biggest thing for me is just kind of affirming how hard she works and helping her with test-taking strategies so that all that work will pay off when, you know, crunch time comes and you've got to sit down and take the test. That's probably where our biggest success has been, just her confidence and her having a plan going into the test instead of just thinking, you know, I'll do the best I can, but you know what to do first and what to do second and when to skip problems and all that.
A lot of students struggle with that for some reason.
Yeah, they do.
According to my calculations, anyways.
Yeah, I would even agree with you. That's a challenge for me, is to balance everything.